Would you like to know how to sow broad bean seed? I reckon you would, that's why you're here, right? Well, there's various different times a year, various different varieties, and 2 or 3 different methods. Shall we take a look at sowing broad bean seed? I'm David, you're watching GrowMad. Broad beans or fava beans may not be at the top of everybody's food wish list, but do you know what? They should be. They are packed with immune boosting nutrients, may also help to lower cholesterol, and are loaded with folate, which is an essential nutrient for women during pregnancy. And what's more, they're dead easy to grow. It all starts with seed sowing. Seed sowing is very straightforward as long as you stick to the rules, and there are 3 main periods for sowing. Autumn sown varieties can go in November, but it's November only. Spring varieties can be planted anywhere between February and April, or very often just into May depending on the weather. And then there are a select group of varieties which can be planted summertime for autumn harvesting, but be careful with the varieties, it doesn't work for them all. There is currently only one variety suitable for summer sowing, autumn harvest, and that is Lusa de Otano. Before you sow broad bean seed, you may find it useful to soak it overnight, particularly if the seed has been hanging around for a bit. So, method 1 is sowing into modules or pots for planting at a later date. Pots and modules can always be obtained from your local garden centre. They've always got them kicking around and ready for recycling, so no need to buy them unless you particularly need to. And then loosely fill with a peat-free compost. If you've been soaking the seed, then drain it and then prepare for sowing. It may look as though we're going a bit heavy-handed here, but I like to put at least 2, even 3 per individual module or pot. The old saying goes, 1 for the mouse, 1 for the crow, 1 to rot and 1 to grow. So don't be shy with the sowing. You don't want gaps in the beds. After you've placed them out, simply just press into the compost. I haven't watered before because at this point it can get a bit messy. We'll water in a moment. As soon as you finish pressing all the seed in, just lightly cover. Don't worry about which way the seed is facing, and plant to a depth of about 2 to 3 centimetres. Now give them a really generous watering at this time of year, particularly February, March. They're not going to dry out very quickly, so give them a good watering now. Get it over and done with. Don't forget to label. As always, you wouldn't want to forget which is which. And when you've finished, I just stack them in the greenhouse. Put them up on a shelf to keep them out of the way of the mice, but they are okay left outside. This will just give them some protection and make them a little bit earlier. I like to cover with empty seed trays. Again, helps keep the mice off. Being stacked like this for 2 to 3 weeks definitely will not hurt them. You'll know when they start to emerge and then simply unstack again. If you want to go totally eco, forget the plastic, just sow into spent toilet rolls instead. Depending on temperature, germination will take approximately 3 weeks. Once they're up, they do get a move on. As soon as the root is established, prepare for planting, but ensure that they're fully hardened before you go outside. Don't forget, under cover they will be a bit soft. So the second method of sowing broad bean seed is to go straight into the ground. To be fair, this is probably how most people are going to do it, straight into the soil. If you're sowing in the autumn, this is the only way to do it. Autumn sowing doesn't really suit pots and overwintering, they get a bit long and leggy. Just go straight into the soil. Let's take a look at how it's done. Start by raking over the soil, breaking up any lumps and removing any trash. You need a decent seed bed to start with. Use a line to ensure rows are straight. Make sure it's not snagged. Using a long-handled hoe or similar garden tool, take out a drill. A drill is a shallow trench. It needs to be about 5 to 6 centimeters deep. Place the seed into the bottom of the drill, leaving a spacing of approximately 12 centimeters or 5 inches and 30 centimeters or 1 foot between individual rows. Once you've laid the seed out, lightly cover with the rake. If you'd rather, just simply use a dibber onto prepared ground, using same spacings into prepared soil. And as always, don't forget to label and keep a note of the sowing date. It will be useful next year. The spring plantings in February will appreciate a covering. Here we're using fleece. It also protects from undesirables such as pheasants. Pheasants, rooks or mice can decimate crops within days. After rolling out, don't forget to weigh it down. It will blow away in the wind if you don't, particularly at this time of year. An alternative to putting fleece over the crop is by using cloches. These cloches will easily cover a double row and can stay on for at least 6 to 8 weeks, well into March, end of March, even early April. These particular cloches are from Hacksnicks. They're covered in a micro mesh. We use them on everything. They're fantastic for broad beans, but they'll keep carrot root fly away, they'll keep flea beetle off other crops during the season. Absolutely brilliant, working every season. Depending on time of year and soil temperatures, the seed will take between 3 and 6 weeks to germinate and establish. And method number 3, the final seed sowing method for broad beans, is to go straight into a growing container. I would use a container at least 30 litre size, fill it with compost and then sow as you would for modules. Culture is dead easy. You can move it around, put it on the patio, put it on the deck, start it off in the greenhouse if you want to be really early. They're so versatile. And a perfect variety for this dwarf culture would be the Sutton. It's a great variety, doesn't get very tall, but it crops prolifically. So there you have it, the 3 main methods of sowing broad beans. Before we wrap up, let's just have a look at the individual advantages. So pots and modules, they can be sown during any weather. They can easily be protected if it's bad, so if the ground is freezing, put them in the greenhouse. and they can also be sown and getting underway if you're waiting for your area to be ready. Might have brassica on it overwintered. The direct into soil, great thing about this is no double handling. You sow once, they're in position. There's also no disturbance to the growth. If you're planting one from a module, there's going to be a day or two that the growth has been checked. It's also a speedier operation. The container grown, well, they're great for limited spaces. Whack them on the patio, put them in the greenhouse, totally portable, move them wherever you need to. And if you do want to start really early, put them in the greenhouse. Do you know what? They can even be left to harvest in the greenhouse as long as there's some pollination. So there you have it. I hope that was useful and you've gained some value. We are at present planting broad bean Demonica, which is our favourite. I'd be interested to know what your favourite is. Maybe leave in the comments down below and I respond to everything. Be great to know what you're growing. And talking of comments, just leave one anyway, and like and subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed this. It would be so appreciated. And don't forget, we have all the other social media that you can have a look at as well. And oh yes, don't forget, we've got a brilliant website, growmad.co.uk. Keep an eye out for another broad bean video, actually giving you or assisting you with instructions on how to grow the crop. That will be useful, coming soon. We so appreciate it, we really do. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the soil.